UndergroundVideoNetwork.com presents the We Talk Too Much podcast.
This is where the fun begins.
Comic books, superheroes, sci-fi, gaming, and everything nerdy.
That's it. This is just too weird.
Now, here's your host of the We Talk Too Much podcast, Mike and Richard.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Underground Video Network's We Talk Too Much. I am Michael Boroff.
I'm Richard Catterjohn.
Rich, I'm having a hard time seeing you because we're formatted a little differently today. We seem to have a guest in the quote unquote studio.
Yeah, we'd like to welcome Josh to the show tonight.
Josh Nealis, great to have you back, man. I remember we had so much fun talking last time.
How's it going? Sorry, I'm sharing the stuff right now so we can get some eyeballs on you guys. Don't mind
You've
me.
been going through quite a bit since the last time we talked to you. What's been going on?
Oh, it's been crazy, that's for sure. Bought a new house and moved and all that, and then of course all the comics and books and all that. It's been 2 years since I talked to you guys last? Something like that.
It was shortly before the pandemic. Yeah.
So it's been a while. So we did that, and all three of us are alive, so that's good.
Yeah. Woohoo!
But yeah, I mean it's been a wild ride, and I haven't even bumped into you guys in real life since then either. I don't think.
Well, not too many people have. Go ahead, Rich.
Oh, I bumped into you at Jump City. That's about it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
With the past couple of years, not a lot of people. We haven't bumped into a lot of anybody. Me and Richard haven't bumped into each other that much in the last couple of years in real life.
Right.
I think the last time, Richard, was when they had the
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it. I want to see it real bad. I'm waiting for it to, hit one of the streaming services or something, and it just hasn't yet that I know.
Oh man, pick up the Blu-ray, man, because the special features on that one are really damn good.
Yeah. I've heard good things.
Yeah, I adore that movie so much. But no, there hasn't really been, aside from Richard got the chance to see you at Gym City.
Yep, that's right.
The cons are slowly starting to start back up again, especially the last year to 6 months.
Yeah, I think I did a handful of them last year, and I think I've noticed. I don't know if it's just because I have more stuff on my table, but my sales and stuff have been better than ever, really. So I mean, that's good.
That always helps. Yeah.
I mean, and unfortunately, some cons are raising their prices, which makes it even harder because now I'm trying to pick and choose even a little better than I normally would, because it's like when a 1 day event is basically what I would make in 1 day, it's like, what's the point?
We do. Yeah.
So
how was Jim and Dan? You was just down there, weren't you?
Yeah, it was good. I did better there than I'd done ever at that one, and I think they had said it was like the most attended one. So yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was a good small one as my first one of the year to get my feet wet and remember all my pitches and all that. So luckily I hopped right back into it. I jumped right back into like my carny caller mode and all that. And so, yeah, it went good.
That we talk to enough creators that we learn this. I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, especially like even people who attend cons a lot, as just a con goer, is there's a certain art to, having your own table and presenting yourself. It's not just a matter of, here's my stuff, look at it, You hit the nail on the head, you got to get your feet wet. You got to, the carny, that's perfect. That was, you got to have that pitch and everything ready.
Yeah, I'm like a hybrid of that too, because some people will straight up, they'll sit in their chair, and some of the artists, they'll be drawing or whatever, which is cool. to each their own. I'm not judging anybody on what they're doing, but some people will be just sitting, not paying attention. You know, people walk up and they won't even really acknowledge them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people on the other side of the spectrum that they're yelling at people across the room, trying to get them across.
Yep.
And I'm in between. Like, you know, if you come kind of close to my table and I see you looking at something, then I'm going to talk to you. Depending on how the con goes. Now, if it's slow and I'm like, oh my God, I got to, you know, at least make my table back. You know, I'll find a shirt that you're wearing or your shoes or your pants or your hat.
Yep.
And I will comment on it and get you to at least talk to me. And I can tell you right now, at Gem City, there was a guy. He'd walked by several times, never stopped, never even looked at me. And I think he had like a Pikachu shirt on or something. But it was like real small all over the place, like a button up thing. And
oh, like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't quite see what it was because he wasn't quite close enough. And he walked by and I was like, hey, what is that? You know, and he walked over and we started talking and he bought at least one comic book. I think he bought 2 or 3 though. So it's just, you know, it's sales. It is sales.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you look at it. You know, my job is to move my product. And unfortunately, you know, I'm not Nike or McDonald's. You know, people don't generally, they're not going to a Comic-Con going like, you know, I hope there's an indie comic book I've never heard of here, you know, so.
Yeah.
Some people, but not many.
Yeah. Did you find yourself, the smaller Jim and Dan was a good way to get your feet wet. Do you ever find yourself like shortly before the con, like standing in front of the mirror, you know, getting that whole approach and everything kind of rehearsed, you know, getting the sales pitch ready?
Like on the new stuff, like it usually takes me 2 or 3 cons. Like if I have a new book out,
mm-hmm.
to get the pitch, to get what works and what doesn't, and you stumble through it. It's almost like being a stand-up comedian. You know, you're trying out your jokes, kind of.
Yep.
And you just got to find what hits, and that's kind of, you know, I only sold one copy of Cocaine Stripper Stronghold at the last one, which is fine. You know, if I sell a copy of it, that's cool. But, you know, I'm still working on that pitch. My Hellscape pitch, I can pitch that to somebody all day. And, you know, that book moves itself because it's a really good book. But, you know, I just, over time, you learn what to say almost. And you can tell, you know, if they're interested. Like I do, if you've ever been in sales, they teach you to qualify people. So you don't want to try to sell them, you know, if they're looking for, you know, a Toyota, you're not going to try to sell them a Ford. You have to figure out, you ask them questions and figure out what they want. And then that's what you sell them. So, you know, I ask people questions, you know, what do you like? You like books or comics? Oh, okay. What kind of comics you like? What kind of books you like? You know, and then you just kind of narrow it down and this is what you like. Here's the deals I got, you know, and leave it at that.
I can totally relate that. That sounds a lot like it brings me back to my days when I worked at Blockbuster Video.
Mm-hmm.
You would be able to tell, you know, you got that college kid over here that's got an anime shirt on, you know, and he's, hey, come over here and check out the new animes we got. Then at the same time, you've got this family over here with, you know, little Billy and little Susie. Hey, did you see the new little independent Disney movie? You know,
mm-hmm.
You really do. You got to be able to spot the people and identify that audience you're aiming for.
Yep. Well, and when I first started too, you know, I have sales training. Like I sold TVs and shit for a handful of years. But I would still like stereotype people, I guess. I don't want to say it's not really stereotyping, but
right, yeah.
Somebody and go like, oh, they're gonna like horror just by the way they're dressed or the way they look.
Yeah.
And I found very quickly that wasn't always the case. So
Yep.
that's why I was like, all right, go back to basics, you know, do the qualifying and, you know, talk to people. And it's not just about sales too. If anybody's listening and you're wanting to do this, it's not just about making money. It has to be about the art, and it's about developing your fan base. And you have to actually care about them, because I do. The people I talk to and I see them over and over at these cons and stuff, like if I remember them, I'm going to talk to them. You know, they don't have to buy something from me. You know, just because they don't now doesn't mean they won't later. So you're cultivating relationships, you know, and it's more than just sales. It's about caring about the person on the other side of the table as well.
It's like what you said, you know, well, you had a history in sales with TVs. you didn't make these TVs. Yeah, you wanted to make the sale, but you really didn't give two shits about it. There was no personal involvement with it.
Right.
But being a creator, you really are putting yourself out there. You're making yourself vulnerable to that sale because you care about it. You gave birth to it.
Yep. Yeah. And there's sometimes, I mean, they talk about doing a song and dance, and there's sometimes, it's a little song, but other times I've sat there and talked to people for a half hour before, and finally they're like, oh, okay, I think I'll go with that. It's like, yes, like I worked for that one.
Yep.
The can of beans this will buy, I earned. So.
And it's got to be great, especially hopefully now that the cons are starting up and being more frequent. When you put that kind of time and effort into talking to somebody and showing an interest in them, and they purchase your product, well, when they get home, they read that book, they really like that book, and because of that rapport that you establish with them, they see you at a next con.
Yep.
They're going to be right. They're going to go right to your table again.
Yep. I had that happen a couple years ago. Like the con, people don't really buy right off the bat at a con. They walk around, they look at everything. I do the same thing.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had somebody at a con a couple years ago. I mean, the thing wasn't open 5 minutes, and they walked straight up to my table, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And it was a shorter, older guy, and he was like, hey, I knew you were going to be here. I wanted to get this book. And I was like, perfect. Thank you. First sale of the day, like
That's
2 minutes in or whatever it was. That was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was really awesome.
So you just started a Kickstarter yesterday, correct?
That is correct. 5:30 yesterday. Turkey Sharks 1 and 2 hit Kickstarter. We had done Turkey Sharks 1 back mid last year or something like that. I don't remember exactly when it was. And it went really well. I think we were like 280 something % funded on that one. But this one, this was funded in 45 minutes.
Holy damn.
Yep. And now, we're creeping up on $900 in just over 24 hours. So that's really good. I've only done this in my second Kickstarter, aside from the other Kickstarter that my company is running for another creative team. And that one's going really well too, and it's their first Kickstarter. And I was able to come on and help them get it all set up and get them up and running. But yeah, I'm super happy with this so far. I mean, 1 day in, and I'm over half of what I got on the last one. So that's a good sign, I think.
That's fantastic. And
was that okay? I forgot to ask you. I hit the button before I asked you. I'm sorry. Is that okay to share it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, don't you dare. How dare you?
Don't show my stuff.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Quit trying to put money in my pocket.
I always ask first, but I didn't realize it was going to go live that fast. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's I'm really happy with it. We got some excellent covers. The stories, it picks up from where the last one left off, and it's got some heart. It's funny. I mean, a lot of my comics they have comedy, but there's some depth, I think, to these characters. And I have this is my 11th comic book overall.
Wow.
And I have found these characters' voices. I know who they are now, and I can make them talk and react and behave how I want. So
looks good.
Yeah, the art is fantastic. I mean, you guys know Sean Forney.
Oh yeah,
Sean Forney and Rodney Fike nailed that one. Crushed it.
God, yeah.
And that's our Kickstarter exclusive cover that you'll only be able to get it on Kickstarter. It will never be available again outside of this.
Cool.
And even the A cover, that's one of my favorite covers we've ever done.
I like the hell out of that one. Yeah.
It's perfect. And then the Tyler Haddix cover was down there as well, with Zebo, the drunk homeless robot, holding his homeless person signs. And Tyler did that. That was an oil painting, and that was the original art that he sold. And somebody bought it within 15, 20 minutes or whatever it was.
Oh, get out.
Yeah. Yep. So somebody's going home with that, like the original.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was kind of jealous because before we went live, I was like, man, I was like, I want somebody to buy it because it'd be cool to have my character and that painting in somebody's home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at the same time, if it doesn't sell, maybe I'll buy it. and of course, like, it went so fast, and I was like, well, okay, fair enough.
Well, yeah. What was your reaction about that? I mean, that was pretty. Even a lot of the people we know that are very proficient with Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Even them, like even the people who like hit and exceed their goal, it still takes like a few days to get that momentum going. And from what you said, it was just like, hey, it was like you hit the live button, you went to go take a crap or something, you come back and like, what the hell, we're funded?
I hit live, and then I was making a TikTok. And by the time I made the TikTok and posted the TikTok, my messenger was going off that it was already like damn near fun. It was like 92% funded in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap. I was like, and then honestly from there, the rest of the night up until like 10 o'clock, like my phone was blowing up. People messaged me and emails and all that. And it was insane. Like, it was giving me anxiety. I was like, I can't even like think right now.
Right.
And it wasn't even until this morning that I got a chance to actually sit down and share it to like the groups that I'm in on like all the comic book groups and stuff. I was like, that's what I was telling people. I was like, I haven't even shared it yet. And it's like already like there. I mean, it's crazy, and it doesn't look like a lot. It's 19 people and $900, but that's a lot of work. And that's a lot of people.
Yeah, no, don't.
Yeah, I'm blown away, and I can't thank the people that have backed it already enough. I mean, it's amazing. It's I've been doing this 7 years, and I really was reluctant to do Kickstarters, but my buddy Rob Maltari from Lone Wolf Comics, he talked me through it and pretty much pointed me in the direction. He was like, dude, you got to. And
yeah,
I'm glad I have so far, because it's exposure, it's selling product, it's everything rolled into one when you're not at a Comic-Con. So
we've talked to some of our friends before too, and it was kind of like the silver lining for the pandemic and everything, because it really lit a fire under a lot of creators' asses that were, I do not want to say complacent, but when they were just so used to just relying on cons.
Right.
But when the cons stopped, well, now what the hell do we do? And now all of a sudden people like you and like Rodney are finding out that, holy hell, this Kickstarter, they're really,
it's an untapped, well, it's a tapped now, but it's a resource.
Oh yeah.
It's a fantastic resource. I'm old school in a lot of my thinking on how to run a business stuff, where I'm like, I want to sell you the product. I want to put it in your hand, like the physical copy, show it to you, and I thought it was so weird that people, will buy into something like this without actually having the product in their hand to look at. And it's amazing, and like I said, I think I've backed like 15 of these things now or something like that. It's cool. I like the process. It's interesting.
I think the other thing that really adds a level to it is for your average con goer, you go and yeah, you're supporting them, by giving them your money. But when a person helps through Kickstarter, it actually makes them feel like they're a little bit involved in it. Like,
right.
When they get the book, it's like, I helped with this.
Yep.
I helped out in a small way with this. I'm a little personally invested in this now too. And yeah, I think that's one of the big draws, especially when it comes to, because Kickstarter's everything. Hey, I need new tires on my car. Rough patch. But especially for creators to get their stuff out there, especially with their fan base, it really does add that level of personal attachment to it. Like, I helped out with this.
Yeah, it's you're right, man. It's cool. Like the first Kickstarter I remember ever hearing about was the one for Super Troopers 2.
Yep.
And I was like, and then I saw the movie, and then I saw that like people from the Kickstarter got to be in the movie, and I was like, that's wild. Like, that's really cool. I was like, I kind of wish I would have got in on that. And maybe one day we'll do something like that. But yeah, it's cool. It's a cool thing to be able to, for creators to be able to have it paid for, up front. Because my first 9 comics I paid for out of pocket. I'm $3,000 in the hole on all of those. And I'm still in the hole. I haven't made my $3,000 back yet. I mean, my artist got paid, which is great. I want them to get paid, but if we can get a Kickstarter to pay for the book, period, and I can walk away and just sell it, I mean, that's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you're always saying about that involvement. It's like some of the movies that are on Kickstarter too. They always offered your name in the credits sometimes, and some of the comic book people even have like a thank you page and stuff. I always think that's really cool because it allows you to put your name, because I know I backed Iron Sky too, and my name's in the credit at the end. I thought it was so real seeing that when I got a digital copy of it and looked at it, and there's your name on the screen as it rolls up.
So I have a couple comic books I've backed. I've been in the credits, and it's like, it's kind of neat. I think I struggle with. It's like, all right, should I put Josh Nealis or should I put Cutthroat Comics? Should I advertise?
Yeah.
I think I've put my name, so I was like, it might be a little tacky. So.
Yeah, I always thought about putting UVN or Underground Video Network.
I think that would be okay, but me putting my comic company in somebody else's book, I think would be like, that's a line. Might be stepping over a little bit. So, but yeah, I think Underground Video Network. I think that's totally fine, in my opinion. Other people might be different. Are you guys going to any cons coming up?
I think so. We were looking at the Champion City Spring. I don't know if Mike will be able to go to that or not, but that's like April, I think 24th. That's one of Jesse's cons. That's that one in Springfield, Ohio.
Oh, I've not heard of that one. I might have to look into that one, see if they.
That's one of those ones, Richard, where it's like I got a chance to go to a couple of them and I absolutely loved it, but it seemed like after the first couple years, life kept finding a way to block me from being able to go to that one. It was either mandatory overtime, or I had one of my volunteer programs was doing something that day. It's like, I want to go back.
Well, this is the first spring one because he's moved it. It used to be like in September, October.
Yeah,
is the first one, or the one that used to be, and or is still, I should say, because I think that's October or no. I think it's actually November 1st this year. Amanda's going to kill me for not knowing, but but it's a neat little show, and he's like moving into like a hall instead of the hotel now. So that should be cool because I couldn't go down last spring, or fall, because that's the first one I missed for a long time. Because that used to be the same weekend as another show we used to do up in Detroit too. So it was always like the same weekend. Yep. But I think we're also looking at, what is it, Mike? That one that's going to be in Columbus, the Fanboy Expo.
Yes. Yeah. Really looking into that one. Yeah.
Yep. I'll be there. Looking forward to that one. That'll be good. Hopefully.
We're not planning too far out. My job situation still whatever, and stuff like that. And Mike's always busy.
That happens. Oh, I wore my Letterkenny hat just for you.
Yeah.
I forgot. I picked it up.
I wish I'd have seen that earlier, because this is how we would have started the show off. Josh, how are you now?
Not bad, and you?
Good. Oh God, yes.
Is that what? Wait, what does he say? Good and you. Good and you. That's what.
Oh, not so bad.
Yeah, not so bad. I love that show.
You know what, Josh? That's what I appreciate about you.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep, I love that show. I wish the newest season could have been more episodes. I was kind of disappointed.
I was too. But consider, I follow a lot of the stuff that they do. Considering with the pandemic and everything, man, getting as many as they did out was a godsend.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Shorzy or whatever.
F&A, man, they just dropped that teaser, and I was the same as everybody. I'm like, are they going to show him? And then sure as shit, man, Jared Kiso, and that was brilliant. Had all these hard-ass hockey players standing there. Yep. And at the exact same time, they smile on every one of those missing tooth. I was like, God damn, yes.
Now, did Jared Kiso, he does the voice of Shorzy?
Oh yeah, that's Shorzy.
That's what I thought.
Not only does he provide the voice, that's his ass too. When you see him in the shower upside down doing the
Oh,
prep,
really?
that is
Okay.
Kiso's ass.
Yeah, I always wondered, and I think I even looked on IMDb, but they had somebody else, a different actor,
No.
listed as him.
Because what was wild was I watched this one making of, and it was literally when Riley and Jonesy were talking to him. He's behind the camera with the director yelling Shorzy's lines to them. And to see him do the voice was like an out-of-body experience because, you see him as Wayne squinting,
Yep.
screw you guys. I was like, oh my God, he's really doing it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am looking forward to that.
Yep, I'm pumped for sure.
Now, you was mentioning the other Kickstarter, the Tales of Shock and Terror issue 1.
Yep.
I got that ready to go up.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, this is like I said, this is these creators. It's their first book ever. So it's 3 horror anthologies, and we got that thing funded in like a day or two. I can't remember how quick we did that one. And it's going strong too. I really want to get them to $1,000. That's like my goal for these guys.
Mhm.
They've got 3 Kickstarter exclusive covers. And it's a cool book. It's all hand drawn. Drew Moreland drew it all by hand. It took her, I can't even remember how long she said.
Wow.
She said like, I want to say 700 hours, but I don't think it was that much. It was a lot though. But yeah, it's cool. It's gruesome. Definitely not for kids. And I haven't even actually seen all of it, together. So it's fun. It's a fun book, and I'm really excited for these guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she did a good job. And yeah, she's got some videos of her actually drawing it and stuff, which are pretty cool.
I like that idea. I really do like that idea because that's one of the things. Like when we go to a con and we're walking around, I'm behind the scenes guy. Like I told you, I'm like that with everything. Like with TV, movies, and stuff like that. I am fascinated with the behind the scenes stuff, and watching creators. Oh, I could watch this for hours. I love watching stuff like this.
Yeah, and the cover she's working on there, I think that's the pig-headed cover. And she did a lot of like where she's doing right now. She's doing the sky there, and it's very Vincent van Gogh. Like she did a lot of different art styles on a lot of this stuff too, which I thought was interesting. Like this is not a comic book that you're going to see typically. This is different. This is a very gritty, very textured. I mean, she did really good. Like I said, it's really cool how she's done everything.
Oh,
And
that's
the stories are wild. Oh, and yeah, actually on the stretch goals there, I'm signing the books now too. That was one of the stretch goals. So because I edited the book, and I live pretty close to the main guy, so he's gonna sign it. I'm gonna sign it, and you get Turkey Sharks #1, a digital copy with that as well if you back it. I mean, you're already getting that. So
cool.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really proud of those guys.
Well, let me ask you. You've mentioned it a couple times, and for the people that weren't able to watch and see some of the artwork, can you tell us a little bit about that comic?
The Tales of Shock and Terror one,
or that one, or the Turkey Sharks?
Both of them, yeah.
Yeah. Tales and Shock and Terror. It's a horror anthology. It's 3 stories, and as you can see, we got the A cover, and the 3 covers go with the stories. Yeah, there's one. It's called Mask. I don't want to give too much away about what it's about, but it's very gory. There's Weather the Storm, which is kind of a twisty werewolfy kind of thing, and Pig-Headed is kind of like a Saw type serial killer thing. It's really cool. Those guys did a really good job writing it, and like I said, I edited it. This is my 2nd editing credit outside of my own work, so I'm proud to be a part of that too.
Cool.
Yeah,
So, oh yeah, we didn't really touch on your other project. What's that about? So someone would be interested in getting that one.
Are we talking Turkey Sharks, or are we back to
Turkey Shark?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's like a superhero thing, but it's my own take on superheroes. It's very tongue-in-cheek, a lot of it. It's very silly, but then like the character there is Stingray. You can see he's crying there. He's got some trauma that he's dealt with, and he is lashing out violently against the SETI. This book has some racist undertones. It has depression and alcoholism, so it's not only funny, but it's got some depth to it as well. And in this issue, we touch on it, and this is a setup issue. This is where you're going to need this one to be like, oh, okay, now I see why when he said that, 2 issues from now, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. So
you're planning it out. You've got the story mapped out, issues in advance.
Sort of. I've got a general idea of what I want, what I want each character to kind of go through. But yeah, I mean, they're not written yet. I'll write one, and then I'll go work on like a novel or something. And while I work on the novel, I'll take notes on the next comic, and vice versa. I'm always taking notes on what I'm working on next. So
cool. So where is your future with the books? You got like more story arcs and stuff like that? Is what you want to try to get started or accomplished?
With the comics, I'm still trying to decide where I want to go with both things, the books and I haven't decided. I have like 2 or 3 different novels I want to write. I haven't decided which one I want to do next. And with the comics, like I think I'm going to do Turkey Sharks for a while. I do want to do a book called The Rascals, which is like a Teen Titans style, and they were in Turkey Sharks 1. So anybody that's read that will know who, the characters I'm talking about. I want to give them their own spinoff at some point. I have a bunch of IPs that I want to approach and try to do, but you have to have clout to do that. You can't just like walk in and be like, hey, certain video game that I used to love, can I write a comic book about this? And they would just like me. So I have a lot of plans. It takes time to get there, and these Kickstarters are helping. They're getting me there quicker.
Let me ask. I'm really curious as a creator, because you mentioned that you're doing the comic books, but you're also doing the novels. How do you approach that mindset? I mean, how do you separate those two? They're both like a written medium, but very different in the form. Is there a way that you approach them?
I mean, the approach is kind of the same. The novels, like the development of the characters, happen in one book. The comics, it takes longer because I can write a book. Let's say I write a book in Cocaine Stripper Stronghold, for instance. I wrote it in like 3 months or something like that. So in 3 months, I got to find who the character was, go back, edit their dialogue to make it work with who they are and where I want them to go. As were the comic books, I mean, you put out a book and that's how it is. There's not really any going back, so you have to still kind of make that dialogue work going down the line while you find them. So it's a little bit of a different process, but it takes, I want to say it takes 3 issues before you can really find the voice of each character. Except for Zebo, the drunk homeless robot. I knew who he was right away.
There was a definitive idea behind that one.
Yeah, he's like a 50s, like, I don't even know what you would call it, like a Leave It to Beaver style, where he's like, oh, gee, Wally,
okay.
So that's his whole spiel. But yeah, like Stingray took me a minute to find who he was, and he's been in 5 books now, so by Stingray 3 I knew who he was. Same thing with Ginger Avenger. It took me several issues to figure out exactly who he was. So and now I got him, and now moving forward they're going to be a better written character, each of them, I think.
How do you approach your writing style? Do you, like, when you wake up in the morning, do you sit down and plan, okay, I need to work on the novel. I'm going to work on the novel for X amount of hours, and then I'm going to work on the comic books for X amount of hours? Or do you find yourself just kind of going with the breeze? Like, right now I'm feeling inspired to do this, I'm going to work on this. Or
I've done both a little bit. It seems the last few times I will, like, if I'm going to do a comic, I will only do the comic, because comics don't take that long to write. I usually take like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks to write the comic. I could write one in a day. Like if I had a Saturday with my kids not here and I gotta hammer it out, I could do it. But I like to take my time a little bit with the comics, just to get it right and get the dialogue and the story and the jokes and all that in there as good as I can. But we do edit the comics like as we go through them. So like when Cristiano draws up the sketch pages, he sends it to me and I look at how he's drawn it. And sometimes the dialogue fits the way he drew it. Sometimes it doesn't. We have to completely change it. Like there was a whole page in Turkey Sharks 2 that he drew it and the words were there. And I was like, that doesn't work, but I can fix the dialogue to make it fit the art because the art was good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the books typically what I'll do, like for Hellscape, for most of the books, like if I just started, I'll do like 400 words a day, which is nothing. But then the next day I'll go back, I'll read that 400 words, fix it, make it better, and then write another 400. So it's kind of like an overlapping thing where you're constantly editing and writing at the same time. So by the time you're done, you've got most of the mistakes out. You've already fixed the dialogue. You've added more description. So it's, and then, like I said, when you're done, you're done. Usually when I get to like halfway through, I'll go to like from 400 words to 600. And then when I get to like the last couple chapters, it's like 1,000 words a day, so I just get longer and longer as I get through it.
Because it's almost like as you're progressing, you're opening the water valve more and more. Versus like you said, when you started off a few hundred pages, and now that you are mapping out more and you're seeing where the character's going, it's a little bit more today, a little bit more tomorrow, and then next thing you know, it's just like a complete flood of all your ideas just coming out.
Yeah. Hellscape was, that was a crazy one because, most of my books are like 50,000 words and Hellscape is 80,000. And that was like the first time where I was like, I have more content for this story than I've ever had for anything. Like the sequel to Stuffed Squirrels and Porcelain Angels, like I was struggling to get to 50,000 words on that because I was like, I'm out of ideas for these characters. I knew where it was going. I knew the end. But I was like, I got nothing. I got no more jokes. I'm out of jokes. And I got there, but that one was rough. I think I went back and actually just kept adding to the beginning and middle and stuff. Like I was like, just write jokes in there. Cocaine Stripper Stronghold, that one came out of me pretty quick too. That was pretty good. That one's a little over 50,000 words, I think. And I actually had to tether that one back because I didn't want it to be a long book. I had to like kind of chill out and just write it more or less.
Okay, you've mentioned that title a couple times now, and I'm sure there's listeners or people watching. It's like, what the hell is Cocaine Stripper Stronghold?
Yeah, that's my new novel. That one came out on Valentine's Day, appropriately. It's got some romance to it. It's like a Western post-apocalyptic romance horror. So it's like From Dusk Till Dawn meets The Road Warrior, I think.
Oh, epic. Oh, man.
Yeah, it turned out really cool. It's very vulgar. Very, very vulgar. I've told some of my buddies, like as I was writing it, I'd be playing Xbox with him. I'd be like, dude, I wrote this part today and here's what happens. And he would be like in my ear dying laughing at how ridiculous it is. But the main story is there's a brothel. And inside it are cocaine strippers. They like deal cocaine and they're strippers. And they get attacked by a biker gang because biker gangs love cocaine and strippers. And they also get attacked by a horde of zombie businessmen because businessmen also love cocaine and strippers. So it's just an onslaught on this brothel and it becomes a stronghold. They, like I said, it's post-apocalyptic, so they were ready to be attacked. And it's a fun story. I really like the main character. Her name is Jane. She's like the madam. I really like her. I actually want to turn this into a comic book, like do her origin story as a comic book or something one day. I think that would be really cool. Go along with the book. That's down the line though. But it's a fun book. It's ridiculous.
It's one of those things where they always say, you can't judge a book by its cover, but like so many times when you tell me the title of one of your I'm like, I've judged it already and I adore it immensely. I haven't seen it yet, but I already love it.
Yeah, it's exactly what you think. It was just, I had a dream one night and it was one of those, I've told the story a couple times, but you wake up and you look at your alarm clock and you're like, shoot, I got like 10 minutes left. So you fall back asleep real quick, and then you fall back into a dream, like for some reason. And then my alarm started going off. And as I was coming out of the tunnel from my dream, some guy was like yelling at me, like, cocaine stripper stronghold. And like that day I was like, that's a wild title. And so I thought about it, and I mean, it just snapped, and I was like, I got to write it. And I was like,
so you really did. You went, because it's not very often that happens like that, where you start with a title and go from there. So many other people, the books I've read, they've got the story, and it's like, oh man, what do I call it? You went the opposite way. You started with the title.
Yeah, title first on that one. That is strange, because Stuffed Squirrels and Porcelain Angels, my first novel, I mean, that thing was like done basically, and I was like, I don't know what I'm calling this. And then one day it just clicked, and it was part of the book. Like the one guy has a stuffed squirrel on his TV, and then a girl collects those porcelain angels, and I was like, stuffed squirrel, porcelain angels. So that's what I called it. It was a cool title, I think. But yeah, it was weird to start with the title first and then just craft this entire world from that just one little 3-word sentence, basically.
I mean, it really does. It sounds like one of those exercises that you would get in like a creative writing class, where it's like the teacher's just like, I'm going to give you a title,
right? Bring
me your story. And then, you hear everybody sigh like, oh God, this is going to be impossible. But for you, it was just
oh yeah,
flowed right out.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't 3 pages. It was an entire book. I just kind of threw the ball up and out of the way at it. Yeah, I'm proud of it. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. That's all I can think of. I want people to read it just so they can be like, dude, seriously? Like, you really wrote that? Like, why?
You're going to get somebody that reads it. They're going to come to you at a show. They're going to buy the book. They're going to find you at the next show, and they're going to put their hand on their shoulder and like, are you all right?
Yeah.
I finished the book. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of my stuff is so stupid. It's just weird to think, that I've written so much stuff and people like it. It's like anytime I get somebody that's like, man, I read that comic or that book and I really like it. And it's like, that's awesome, man. That's crazy that I thought of that and you think it's cool. It's really weird.
Have you figured out how you're going to approach a subject that I know from talking to you before, you've mentioned you're a dad. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure probably at this point in time, you're not really showing your kids your work just yet.
Yeah, I mean, the comics, they don't have there's violence in that. But
right.
There's no nudity in my comics specifically. I'm not against that, but I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And only for that reason, because I don't know. I feel like it's an easy thing to do, have nudity and stuff.
Right.
It can be tasteful, like I said, I'm not judging anybody that does that. That's more than fine. It's just not what I want to do. But and I don't know if you guys remember, I can't remember if this happened last time we talked, but my child has a character in my comics.
I remember you mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's involved in it. He thinks it's awesome. He's I've got a couple books at CGC or at CBCS right now getting graded at his character's first appearance and stuff. So they're signed by me and him. So I mean, it's really cool, I think.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Yep.
And it's got to be cool for him because sooner or later, I mean, he's got to be proud. My dad did this. Mm-hmm. Start showing his friends and everything.
Yeah, he's starting to kind of understand it a little bit. And I let him do that one character, and he's come at me with a couple other ideas, and I'm like, all right, let's hold off there, bud. I got a plan. I can't fit all your ideas in. I'm not Marvel. I'm not pumping out 100 a month or whatever they're doing. But yeah, I was surprised when he told me his character idea, and I Googled it thinking he saw it somewhere, and sure enough, it didn't exist. So I was like, sweet, awesome, we'll do it.
Let's do it, yeah. It's going to get to that point where he's coming at you with an idea, and you're like, yeah, sure, okay. Mm-hmm. But then he comes at you that one really good idea, and you're like, okay, Daddy's going to explain what an NDA is.
Yeah.
Daddy needs you to sign this paper right here because Daddy likes that idea a lot.
Yeah, it's cool because in the books where his characters appeared twice now, and he's got a byline in the book, so It's like, it's pretty neat. And I started this business hoping that maybe one day we'd be like the, oh shoot, now I can't think of the
Kubrick.
it starts with an R. The artists, Ramita.
John Ramada. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that'd be cool if we ended up like that, where, you know, he actually gets into it and wants to be part of this when he gets older. Like, that would be cool. But if he doesn't want to, that's fine. You know, if he wants to be like cool or something, I suppose he can do that. But it would be awesome for me to have him at cons signing books right there with me.
That would be great. That's almost a really good pitch for like an early 90s sitcom where you've got the creative, outgoing, artistic dad whose kid grows up the straight-laced businessman, and they never really see eye to eye. But then one day, you know, the son sees his you know what, Dad? I really like this idea.
Yeah.
You just need somebody to handle the business point. And I'm just saying, you know, with all the streaming services, that'd be right up Peacock's alley right there.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, if any big publisher or studio were to approach me about one of my works, like, I would sell it probably, and only because that money would get me where I want to be. You know, it wouldn't take that much for me to get pumping out books and comics and marketing and all that. You know, it'd only take a couple $100,000 and I'd be set to do this forever.
Right.
But I would sell my soul on one thing, because I believe in all my stuff. You know, I think if the world were to see any of my things, I think most people would like them. So
I completely agree with you. I've seen your stuff, and I love it.
well, I appreciate that. It's hard being an artist. You know, I tell people all the time, it's like, you don't see you see the final product. You don't see all the blood, sweat, and tears. And the stuff behind the scenes. It's a lot, you know, doing podcasts and stuff. I mean, I did the other night, I was supposed to just do one podcast, and I got a call. I was finishing up my workout, like literally doing my last set, and my phone rings, and my buddy's like, "Hey, you want to hop on this podcast?" And I was like, "Shit, yes."
Yeah.
So, you know, I did 2.5 hours of podcasting on top of the 3 hours I had already done on comic book work prior to that, and the 8 hours of work I put in at my real job. So it was like a 15-hour day, you know.
Well, it's kind of like what we talked about earlier with the pandemic, and the one silver lining is it really put a fire under everybody's ass and made them realize, with Kickstarter for artists and with podcasts, you know, in a small way like what we do, hey, guess what? We don't need the big dogs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We don't need the local. We don't even need the local news to get our word out there anymore, and we don't need, you know, any of the networks to showcase our friends and to, you know, put their work out there, you know, and help them get their work out there into the world. That is one silver lining, is it made everybody realize how self-reliant they can be.
Yep. Yeah, you can do it. I mean, it takes work. It's not, you know, I know a lot of artists and musicians and all types of artists.
Mm-hmm.
They have all the talent, none of the drive, you know.
Yeah.
You have to have both, and it takes a special kind of person. You know, I only know a handful of artists, comic book and drawing artists and musicians that's what they do for a living. It takes a special kind of person to be able to do both things. And I'm not saying I'm that person. I hope I'm that person. I think I work harder than most people I know at this.
Mm-hmm.
But some people, you know, they'll write a book and it'll be 10 years and they'll go around saying I'm an author. It's like, well, technically, yes, you are, but you got to keep pushing, man. You got to pump out work. One of the first cons I did, my buddy Eric Gutierrez, who writes, what's it called? Max the Inebriated Rabbit. And I think that's a Rocket Ink book. But he told me, he's like, man, every time you do these cons, if you're coming back year to year, you better have something new every time you're back. And he told me that, and I said, that sounds good. And now I've written like 20 things in 7 years. So
yeah,
I took it to heart.
Because it's one thing to go from show to show within the span of a year with, you know, new material. But if I come at you at, say, Gym City, if I hang out with you, see your work, if I come at you again next year at the same con, you hit the nail right on the head. If I don't see anything new on that table, well, we've already seen this, you know. So hey, you're a great guy, but you know,
lost the sale because you got nothing. There's nothing more for you to buy, you know.
Yeah.
That's I have a handful of people that every time I talk to them, they're like, "Man, I have like almost all your stuff." It's like, "Oh, give it a month."
Yeah, we ain't done yet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a struggle, but you have to find motivation everywhere. I mean, literally anytime somebody's like, "Yeah, I don't care about comics or books or whatever," it's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna prove you wrong." I'm that type of person. Going back to always, anytime somebody said I wasn't good enough at basketball or baseball, or you know, I wasn't attractive enough or tall enough, or you know, any of that, it's like, well, all right, you know, don't count against me because you'll see. So I'm not there yet, but one of these days I will be, I think. And,
metaphorically, the day ain't over yet.
Yep, not till I'm in the ground. But I think that's the mentality, you know, you got to have sometimes. It's a struggle. And even if you're doing good, you still have to be like, it's not good enough. You know, you have to keep pushing as an artist, I think. And that's what's going to get you over the hump and get people to understand that, you know, you're the one for entertainment.
We've seen that before. Once, especially in that industry, once you start to get complacent, you're done. It's like, oh, I've got X amount of books out and I made this many sales this time around. They'll be there next year. No, they probably won't.
No, they won't. You gotta keep pumping.
And just putting it in a collection doesn't count either.
Yeah.
I mean, some people likes the graphic novels compared to the comics, you know, the floppies, but at the same time, that's not really a new material to me, unless you're adding something to it.
Yeah, I thought about doing that at some point, putting like the Stingray and Ginger Avenger into like a omnibus or something like that. And I may, but I would add like concept art and maybe a new story or, you know, stuff like that into it. I've thought about that, and maybe one of these days. We'll see. That'd be neat, I think.
So where can people like find you? You got the website and stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a Google away. People are smart. I mean, go on Google, and anytime I match with a girl on like the dating apps or something, I'm like, you can look me up, and she's like, oh, I already did. It's like, okay, fair enough. I'm very fine.
But we just want to make sure everybody can find it, you know.
Yes, and that's Cutthroat Comics, right?
Yeah. One word, two T's. You know, and we're on all the socials like everybody else is. We're new to TikTok, and that's going all right, actually. It's kind of fun. I enjoy it a little bit. It was weird. I was working at my real job one day up in Cleveland and talking to like one of the nurses or something, and I mentioned I wrote a book about this or that because it came up in conversation. And then I walked over a few minutes later and she had Googled me, and like on Google, it had my picture with all the books next to it. And I was like, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know, I've never Googled myself. I guess maybe I should more often just to see what I'm working on. What do I got out that's new?
What am I doing this week?
You know, but yeah, I mean, I'm easy to find. People are smart. I say that all the time. They know how to find things. So it's all of them. I'm not on Reddit, I guess, but all of them basically. Instagram, everything.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I just heard that TikTok's going to do an update where they're going to go from the 3-minute capped up to like 10 minutes now.
Oh, really?
I'm almost certain I read that.
Yeah, it's I try to keep my videos fairly short, but you know, I don't just talk about, you guys, we're friends on Facebook. You see, I talk about all kinds of shit. About comics. Sometimes I'll lay a really bad joke out there. Other times it's a discussion format for relationships. It's, you know, I talk about pop culture shit like movies and shows. And
Josh, I ain't going to lie to you. As a man who's been through a divorce, there's been quite a few times where I've read your post and went, yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I was just telling my buddy just a little bit ago, we were playing Rocket League, talking about some of the interactions I've had with females recently, and I was like, dude, it's a new world. Like, they need to understand that, like, men, we're not just looking for sex anymore. It's not all, that's not everything for us anymore. We're looking for somebody to, like, have our backs and motivate us and support us when we need it and everything too. I mean, and all the sex stuff is great most of the time. Like 60% of the time, it's all right.
Yeah.
But it's a different world, and it's interesting. My TikTok has realized that I enjoy listening to people talk about relationships, so that's like all that pops up anymore. But it's interesting hearing people's takes on things, and I listen to it and I go, okay, yeah, I see what they're saying, and it's changed my approach on things a little bit too. So,
and especially because we're all around the same age too.
Yeah.
And what's great about it is we're all around the same age and we're all geeks, so we have that specific thing. Because it's like what you said. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm tickled pink. You'll go to bed with me. Well, what do you think about my Lego room?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, tell me what you think about. No. Oh.
Yep.
All right. Well, it was nice meeting you. There's the door.
Yep. Anytime I've ever had a girl come to my house, I'm like, okay, just a heads up.
Yep. Yep.
My house is all toys and comics.
Yep.
And they're always like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then they walk in and they're like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. They're expecting like a shelf or two. No.
Yep.
When I said I have a room, I mean I have a room. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've got two now. I've got my front living room is a museum. It's all toys. It's fantastic. It's cool.
Same. Yep. I've got the room, and then I've got my Lego room, and it's pretty much just like, you want to get to know me.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my living room. There's that room. There's that room. I will be back in 20 minutes. If you're still here, fantastic. If not, no hard feelings.
Yep. It's actually kind of funny. A common thing I keep seeing on some of these TikTok videos is it'll be like, one girl will say like, where are all the good men at? And then somebody will stitch it or whatever. And they'll be like, well, they're off doing their hobbies because they're tired of dealing with crappy relationships. And I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's part of it. Like, I'm not spending my money on girls that don't even really like me that much anymore. I'm going to buy the fucking Peter Pan and the Pirates toys.
I hate to say this, but I have made that joke, a joke similar to that. It's like in that room over there is every Lego I've ever built and every woman I've ever dated. Well, there's no women in there. Yeah, they're gone, but the Legos are still here.
Yep. I'm gonna have to get a prenuptial agreement if I ever get married again. Like, don't you touch my comics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to wrap it up. You mentioned the website and everything. Anything else you would like to anybody watching or listening kind of promote? Go ahead, plug away, bro.
Oh man, I actually kind of want to give other people shout outs.
Hey, please do. Yeah, we love to hear about more people.
Yeah. Let me rattle off. Instead of promoting myself, let me rattle off people I like. Lone Wolf Comics, Finish Line Comics, Rocket Ink Comics, Dirk Manning. Go check him out. He's pretty awesome.
Oh, we know Dirk.
Yeah. Shoot, who do I like? Ethereal. Dustin Brunell has Ethereal. He's a really nice guy. Check out Cody Lockwood's Cody Con. He has a lot of cool shit. Mason Easley's a good dude. He's a fantastic artist.
Mason's great. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just trying to rattle off Sean Forney, Rodney Fike, Tyler Haddix, which is Pissed Off, Pystoff Inc. I think it is. Check his stuff out. Chris Matt, Brian Silverbacks, like, go check out all these. These dudes are wonderful artists. I mean, they're top notch, and they deserve all the credit, I think.
Well, Josh, thank you for coming on tonight, and thank you for being a solid guy and giving a shout out to all your friends like that. That was an awesome move right there. And
I watch the people that work as hard, if not harder than I do, and all those people do. And
Yeah.
I'm a team player, man. It's what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and
Yep.
the boat with the water when it rises and all that. All those idioms. I want to see all these dudes succeed because they deserve it.
That's awesome. Again, Josh, thank you for joining us today. Always sincere. I am not one to bullshit. I love having you on the show. I love talking to you.
Oh, I appreciate it. I like talking to you guys too. You guys are adorable.
No, stop. You gonna make me blush.
Yeah.
Rich, before we wrap up, anything else you want to mention?
Not really. It's been a fun conversation, like as always.
Richard, if you would kindly please let everybody that's watching and or listening know where they can find all of our stuff at.
Yeah, we're at undergroundvideonetwork.com. That's our main hub where you can find the UVN Plus video archive with the last almost 19 years worth of videos that we've done, and just find all our links to all our socials. We're almost anywhere, and we're still on MySpace. So
he loves throwing that in.
One last thing. Is this episode 119?
We talk too much. Yeah.
Okay. That's my birthday. So that worked out.
Oh,
Really?
I saw that earlier, and I was like, hey, that's funny.
Oh, that's brilliant. All right. On behalf of myself, Michael Barf, and my best friend, Richard Catterjohn, again, Josh, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
We hope everybody's staying safe and healthy, and we hope to see Josh amongst all of our other friends at a con or a comic book store real soon. Richard, if you would kindly please press the button.